All right, guys, welcome to APUSH in 10. We are going to look at some DBQ writing today. This is your upcoming homework, and we would like to practice sourcing it. So we are going to just go over this and practice using Happy to source a couple of documents so that it's a little bit easier to understand how we can use information from our documents to write our essay. So we've been talking about the Civil War, and we are going to look at this particular topic for homework next week, the South's lost cause. And the lost cause would be the Confederacy. So if you look at this little blurb here, it tells us that after Reconstruction ended, many white Southerners celebrated the Confederacy as a heroic lost cause through organizations such as the Sons of the Confederate Veterans and the United Daughters of the Confederacy. They profoundly influenced the nation's memorials of slavery, the Civil War, and Reconstruction. Lost cause advocates often stated that their work was not political. And if you look at your prompt here, it's going to ask you to evaluate the extent to which lost cause work was politically motivated and use the following documents to support your reasoning. Now consider what politically motivated means, right? They are using these organizations to build monuments, to talk about how the nation remembers slavery and how Reconstruction and the war are perceived. So consider that. Are they politically motivated to influence people's opinions, or are they not politically motivated to influence people's opinions? And let's start by looking at what's probably one of the hardest documents to source is this picture. If you look at this picture, it is a postcard called Human Confederate Flag. It says, "And 'twill live in song and story, though its folds are in the dust." And as you look closely here, you can see that this is made up of people. This is the Robert E. Lee statue in Virginia, and these are people who have gathered to dedicate it. And if you look at this right here, it tells us it's an estimated 150,000 people gathered in 1890 to dedicate this statue, 10 times more than had attended earlier memorial events, which means we're in 1890. Our war ended in 1865, so we're about 25 years out from the war, right? And people are already gathering, and at that point, it's 10 times more. So as the further away from the war we get, the more people are celebrating the Confederacy. We also have the source here. It is a commemorative postcard of living Confederate flag at the Robert E. Lee Monument in Richmond, Virginia from 1907. So if we were to source this, we can look at a bunch of different varieties here, right? We are going to use Happy, historical situation, audience, purpose, point of view, and why is this important? So the historical situation, what is happening in the 1890s to 1907? Well, it's the Gilded Age. The Civil War is long over. By 1907, Plessy v. Ferguson has become law and segregation is legal. The government is less interfering in businesses. Immigration is growing, and American imperialism and racial hierarchy are becoming more scientific and far more celebrated. The audience for this postcard, this is a public postcard. It's not private. It's not formal. It's a very public gift. It can be for tourists. It can be for Virginians. It can be for anyone who supports the Confederacy. There is no limit to who this postcard is for. The purpose of this, well, it's one for whatever all postcards are, it's to be mailed, right? But the deeper purpose here is to celebrate Robert E. Lee and the Confederacy. They're building a living human flag of the Confederate flag. So the purpose of this event in this postcard is to celebrate that. And then we have our point of view. Who is this postcard created by? Who is it? What led them to create this? Well, it's probably by people who believed in the Confederacy, the men, the women, the children of the Confederate States, supporters of the lost cause of the Confederacy. And it is also probably going to matter to what people consider when they think of the Confederacy. They're trying to eliminate the memory of slavery and make it more about, the heroes, right? Robert E. Lee, this great flag. And why is this important? Well, this is a postcard that is celebrating the flag of a treasonous country. At the end of it all, the Confederate States is treason. They went against the United States government. It is celebrating a country that upholds the ideals and beliefs of what the Confederate States stood for. And it is, at least in my opinion, partially politically motivated to share a different life and a different perspective on government behavior. And it is there to persuade people to view the Civil War differently. So, that is our happy for this particular document. And sometimes postcards are a lot harder to source than others. Some pictures are not, but sometimes they are. So we're going to look now at the next document, the next two documents. They're a little bit easier to source and understand. They're a little bit more straightforward. So document 2 here is from the United Daughters of the Confederacy Constitution, written in 1894. And if we look at the United Daughters of the Confederacy, the UDC, they were founded in 1894. When they grow in 3 years to 136 chapters, by the late 1910s, they count a membership of 100,000. So again, we're 30 plus years out from the end of the war here, and we're creating these new foundations to celebrate. If we look at their constitution, it's going to tell us the objects of this association are historical, educational, memorial, benevolent, and social, to fulfill the duties of sacred charity to the survivors of the war and those dependent on them, to collect and preserve material for a truthful history of the war, to protect historic places of the Confederacy, to record the part taken by Southern women, in patient endurance of hardship and patriotic devotion during the struggle, to perpetuate the memory of our Confederate heroes and the glorious cause for which they fought, to cherish the ties of friendship among members of this association, to endeavor to abuse in all Southern schools only such histories as are just and true. So we need to consider a lot of wordage in this, right? Truthful history, protect historic places, patient endurance of hardship, patriotic devotion, okay? So let's look at happy for this. The Gilded Age, same historical situation, right? It's pretty much the same time period as the living postcard. The Gilded Age, we've got the rise of immigration, we've got some women's rights and some equalities rights fighting. So our situation is a little different, but overall it's pretty much the same for context. The audience of this is less broad, right? It is women, specifically Southern women. It is also for anyone interested in joining or learning about the United Daughters of the Confederacy. It is more formal than our postcard because it is from a formal constitution, and it's not going to be for everybody. Most people probably will not read this. The purpose of this is to explain what the UDC is about and who they are and what their goals are. The point of view, well, who wrote this? We know it's Southern women, moms, daughters, wives of the Confederate States Army veterans. And then why is this important? Well, it's extremely biased towards one group and to our one group's particular experience and beliefs, right? They are telling us that they are trying to be truthful in history, protect historic places. They've endured such hardship through patriotic devotion to a glorious cause, and they want to make sure that this information is used in Southern schools and that only histories that are just and true are taught, which means that they believe that other histories are not just and true, which should matter to you when you are determining how politically motivated this is, because a lot of times the curriculum that is taught in schools can be persuaded in one direction or the other by the government, whether the state or the federal government. And then finally, we have document 3, which is an advertisement from the McNeil Marble Company in the Confederate Veteran Magazine from 1905. It's to the Daughters of the Confederacy in regard to that Confederate monument, which your chapter has been talking about and planning for since you first got organized. Why not buy it now and have it erected before all the old veterans have answered the final roll call? Why wait and worry about raising funds? Our terms to UDC chapters are so liberal and our plans for raising funds are so effective as to obviate the necessity of either waiting or worrying. During the last 3 or 4 years, we have sold Confederate monuments to 37 of your sisters' chapters. Our designs, our prices, our work, our business methods have pleased them, and we can please you. What your sister chapters have done, you can do right today. Now, real quickly, if we run through this. Historical situation. Businesses are making more money. There's less government interference. Mail order is more popular. The audience is very specific as United Daughters of the Confederacy and board members, maybe occasionally community members who can appeal to the UDC to buy this monument. Their purpose is to sell monuments, to convince the UDC to build these monuments before there are no veterans left. The point of view is business owners. They are trying to make money. They are encouraging the UDC by leaning on the dwindling number of veterans and trying to push them to buy what they want. And why is this important? Well, it's encouraging the celebration of the Confederacy, the veterans, and the glorious cause for which they have all died for. So those are the 3 documents we've sourced. We will look at how to put this all together in another video, and it will be up to you to source the rest of the documents on your own. Enjoy!